Okay, this is Module 12, Lesson 2. You can find it on page 386. We're going to be talking about area of triangles and how to find that. So let's take a look at page 386. There's a couple of things highlighted in yellow. Those mean that they are important to know because these are vocabulary. A diagonal is a line segment that connects two non-adjacent vertices of a polygon. So a diagonal goes like this or like this. Up here in the vocabulary box, the base of a triangle can be any of its sides, and the height of the triangle is the perpendicular distance from the base to the opposite vertex or side. Now that's a lot, and I'll show you what that means on the shape. You probably already know this. So number 1, how can you find the area of a right triangle? Let's look at A. Recall that a rectangle is a quadrilateral with 4 right angles. So down here we have that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 right angles. The length and width of a rectangle also can be called the base and the height, and they have that labeled here for you. You can put together 2 copies of right triangles to form a rectangle as shown. And for some reason it doesn't have dots in it. Ooh, that's a bad line. Let's imagine that my line is straighter and goes down here. In your book it has dotted lines for you. Not sure why it didn't show up on the online version. So if we draw a line through here, we have 2 right triangles. What is the relationship between the rectangle and each right triangle? Each right triangle is half the size of a rectangle. So half the size of a rectangle. What is the area formula for a rectangle in terms of base and height? That is area equals base times height. We use length and width a lot. I do not care which one you use. C, how can you use the area formula for a rectangle to write an area formula for a right triangle? So you're going to be taking, for a rectangle, we have area equals base times height. And then remember over here, we said it was half. So if we divide it by 2, that is the area, the formula for an area of a triangle. And they're going to go through a lot of different steps down here and show you different ones. I do not like what they do with this. You can use a half base times height. I prefer you guys to use area equals base times height divided by 2. And so instead of using this stuff right here, we're going to use this formula. Every time we do a problem, you must write down the formula so you know that you're using the correct one per the shape. So if I look at this and I look over here, I'm going to go ahead and plug my numbers in. I have 16 and 4. So we have 16 times 4 divided by 2. If you plug that into your calculator, you will get 32. Our label is centimeters, and since we're doing area, it is squared, and you circle your answer. That's all there is to it. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 2 on page 387. Now we're looking at this parallelogram. How can you find the area of a non-right triangle? This is going to be, a parallelogram and a rectangle are pretty much very similar. And so they're showing you that if you cut this part of the triangle off and move it over here, you'll get a rectangle, and then you can just cut it in half. And so you're going to end up, you know how they do it with Bold Understanding. They work the problem up really far to get one little thing. It's going to end up that a triangle is half, 2 triangles make up a parallelogram. So your formula still is going to be area equals base times height divided by 2. That's the just of all of this. And the just of all of this down here. So instead of 1/2 base times height, we're going to use A equals base times height divided by 2. We're going to look over at our triangle and we're going to put our numbers in. I have 10 times 6 divided by 2. If we plug that into our calculator, 10 times 6 is 60. 60 divided by 2 is 30. And then our label is inches. And make sure you put the little square on it since it's area. Okay, let's flip the page. You guys are on page 388, number 3. This time, they gave us the area. So we're going to plug the area in for A. They gave us a height of 5. And I don't know why they left this open, but it's 2 down here. So this is going to take us just a second to get through, so be careful and make sure you're following along. To solve for b, we have to multiply each side of the equation by 2/5. Because right now we're because the opposite is dividing, so we're going to have to flip it. So we get 2/5 here. Right here we have 15/1 because we just dropped our 15 down and we had to make it into a fraction, so 15/1 equals 2/5, and then we're just going to put our 5/2 here. So this part cancels out and goes away. Over here, I'm going to cross cancel my 5 and my 15. 5 becomes a 1. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So 2 times 3 is 6. So we get 6 right here. And number 4. Many cities are planned with a grid pattern for the streets. Often, there are one or more diagonal streets that cut across the grid, forming right triangles. So that's what we got right here. And we're going to find the area. The base, we're going to say is 1400. The height is 700. Now, it's not the end of the world if you flip-flop these because you will end up getting the same answer. Instead of filling in these, I'm going to write my formula I like. Area equals base times height divided by 2. I'm going to plug my numbers in. I have 1,400 times 700 divided by 2. When I put that in my calculator and I hit equals, I get 490,000. And then our label is feet squared. And that is our answer for that one. Okay, we're on check understanding at the bottom of page 388. An isosceles right triangle, that was supposed to underline it, I'm sorry, has a base and height of 5 inches. So if you like to draw the shapes, right triangle, we have 5 and 5, and those are inches. And we're going to find its area. So area equals base times height divided by 2. Yes, you have to put that part. So we have 5 times 5 divided by 2. When we plug that into our calculator, we get 12.5 inches squared. And so that's your answer all the way up here for number 1. Number 2, find the height. So we are looking for this part. Area, it says it's 12 centimeters squared, and our base equals 8 centimeters. So A equals base times height divided by 2. This case, our area is 12. Our base is 8 times H divided by 2. If we look at 8 divided by 2, that's going to be 4. So if you'd rather do it this way than the last way, it's fine. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I have 4 times H over here. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. And I have to do that to both sides. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So the height is 3 centimeters. And that's the answer to number 2. And that's the end of check understanding.